I am testing Bo Bunny black crackle paste. Here it is. And I'm testing it on clear gesso, which is this one I'm doing here. I'm just scraping some on with, as you can see, a palette knife so as not to use a lot because it's a very tiny pot. Oops. And also testing it on matte medium. These I put on yesterday so they're well dry. I'm not sure whether that's such a good idea. And also on black gesso. I'm not sure that's going to be any point because I don't know if it will show, but I'll be able to see if there's any cracks. We'll find out. There we go. Oh, a slightly thicker area over there because I want to be able to see if that makes any difference. And then a bit on this. I'm doing this one while it's still wet because you can see it came off on my fingers. And this is Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze. I believe it has to be done while still wet because I saw a demo just yesterday. We'll find out if I'm right or not. I'll just do it on half. And if I'm wrong, I can go over it on the other side. There we go. That should be plenty. And we'll wait and see what happens because I want to test this stuff because according to the video of Bo Bunny people put up, according to their video, you need to have the primer. And actually, as you can see already, no you don't. You can use Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze. I don't see anything happening here yet. That's impressively fast. I went to a demo at Birds in the Barn and as you can see we've got crackle forming on the Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze already. So although people said no you need to have the Paper Artsy paint, no you don't. You can't use Bo Bunny crackle paste. Yes, you can. That's what I wanted to say. Right, I've got 2 patches to do 2 other tests there. I haven't decided what to try that on. I'm going to go and wash this now and we'll wait and see what happens with these, if anything happens at all. I don't expect to see anything on the black gesso. I should have tried white gesso really. I'll put some white on there. I've got white. I just didn't put it down. Don't know why. Dumb person. But the clear one you would expect to show through. Perhaps again it has to be somewhat dry because if you remember the older videos explaining how to do it with what the Americans called school glue, and which I think, but I'm not absolutely positive, is the same for us here in the UK as PVA glue, then when you do that you let the PVA glue get tacky first. You don't let it go completely dry, then you put your paint over the top. You've got to let it dry a bit because otherwise you're just mixing the two together and that's not what you want. So it's got to be dry enough to allow you to put paint on the top either with a palette knife or with a brush. So I'll try one with glue and one with white gesso and I'll see if I can put that on fairly quickly. I wanted to try one with some other mediums but that'll be for another time. Okay, bye. Because I'm going to try that bit again with this Bo Bunny crackle paste when the crackle glaze is dry because it's still tacky. I'll see if that makes any difference at all. It might. Okay, bye. P.S. Just to let you know, I've just cleaned my palette knife and even in just the short time I was talking to you, the black crackle paste had dried so much that in order to get it off I had to use one of those little green scratchy pads to clean the knife properly, just to let you know. Okay. Okay, now at the demo of Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze that Lynn Brown was doing yesterday, yeah. Well, yesterday or Saturday, I think it was Saturday. At that demo, we got her to do brush strokes in crisscross fashion because she was doing long linear brush strokes and using foam, dabbing it on, and we got her to do crisscross strokes as well, and it does give a different texture of crackle. So I'm going to try this on this. Now this is dry, so it may not work at all. You may need to put it on the crackle glaze while it's still damp, just in case it does work. And drag it over. This is the Bo Bunny black crackle paste again, which I have found does work. Oh, look, it's cracking already. It is going to work, even on it dried. I didn't know that. You learn something every day. And it's practically keeping up with my brush strokes, it's so fast. I think this black crackle paste, so-called, is actually just a thick paint. I shouldn't be dabbing it like that, crisscrossing. There we go. I'm going to leave that now. See how that dries. And with luck, and it seems to be working, we should get a different pattern. Okay. We'll wait and see what happens, and then I'll show you it. But in the meantime, you can see that the crackle put on the paint, crackle paste, whatever, put over the glaze with the palette knife is quite large cracks, except for this area here, which is a bit smaller. And this is going to be different. You can see that. I'll show you again when it's dried properly. Okay. Right, well, I put white gesso there and PVA glue. I brushed the white gesso on and I put the PVA glue on with this spatula. You could do it with the credit card in much the same way. So let's try the black gesso from Bo Bunny on that area. It doesn't need to be very thick, according to popular report, i.e. the Bo Bunny actual own video showing you how to use theirs with their primer, which I didn't know about and therefore didn't buy, so can't test that. I'm going to be lifting some up of it. Anyway, that's fine. Now we'll do it over the white gesso. Again, this has had a chance to dry. Not for long, only about sort of 10 minutes. Because it's made the card, which is quite thin card, bow a little, so I'm getting an uneven application. If you put it on canvas board, you'll get a much better application because, of course, it won't warp as it dries. There we go. Well, we'll wait and see what happens with that. I've been looking back at these areas and I can actually see a trace on the clear gesso of some crackle here and here. It's very small and it's where the Bo Bunny black crackle paste was thickest, I think. But that has not worked on the matte medium in any way as well. Where it's thin you can see through it, but I think that's just the amount I put on, not a crackle as such. So we'll wait and see what happens. I'm not automatically getting any crackle here, but then it's only been on for a very short time, so we'll wait and see. Okay, stop messing with it, leave it, and we'll see what happens. Alright? Seems I can already show you that it is working. Now here is the PVA glue and here is the white gesso. So you can see that it is actually, there is crackle going on. I mean, it's quite faint at the moment, so it may well improve with time because it's not completely dry yet. But there is a faint suggestion of it here on the white gesso. It's better here on the PVA glue, as you can see, but we'll see what happens when it's a bit dry. I'm letting it dry naturally. I'm not using a heat gun. But I'm quite impressed with that. It was much faster with this Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze. I mean, it was practically keeping up with the brush as I was putting it on. So, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty effective. Nice to know. Nice to know. There we are. I'll show you again when it's completely dry, if there's any change. Okay, now let's have a look at the different effects these different undersurfaces, substrates, have had on the black crackle paste from Bo Bunny. This is the Bo Bunny crackle paste, and it's quite a small jar, 100 mils. It was okay for price. I would have preferred a larger jar, even if I had to pay a bit more, but I wouldn't want to pay double. No. So anyway, here it is. We've got black gesso, clear gesso, matte medium, white gesso, PVA glue, and Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze. These are the substrates, the things I put onto the card before we started with the black crackle. On the black gesso, you can't really see anything, but I didn't really expect to. It's a smoother paint. You can see that this is a more chalky one from the black gesso. On the clear gesso, there is a trace. I don't know if you can actually see that, but there is a little trace here and a little bit there of a bit of cracking. It might have given a better effect if I don't know, put it on while the clear gesso was still a little bit tacky, maybe. Maybe that would help it. I might try that another time. Or perhaps a little thinner or a little thicker application of the black crackle paste. Don't know. On the matte medium, there's not really anything in particular. I mean, there is something here, but I think that's just the way I've dragged the black crackle across the surface with the palette knife. I think that's all that is. Here we have white gesso, PVA glue, and the Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze. On the Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze, on this section I used the palette knife, and on this section I used quite a small brush and used crisscross strokes. And you can see that you get a different effect. That's quite good. I like that. I hope you do too. This is the one on the PVA glue. Again, that's a different effect. Not quite as good as the on the Crackle Glaze. I think the Crackle Glaze is the best effect, but you can still see that it is cracking. Perhaps a thicker application of paste, because I think these areas are where the paste is thickest. And on this one, on the white gesso, I have actually got some. I didn't expect to get any effect, but I did. You can see at the edge here and on here. But as I've said before, when you feel it, it feels bitty, you know, like you could be lifting it up if you're not careful. So if you're going to use the white gesso, I would suggest going over this with some sort of clear gel or matte medium or something to seal it in place. This one, on the other hand, feels really smooth, so you don't really, I don't think you'd need anything on that. But it's not uniform. The way the crackle has formed is not uniform. So if you want a uniform crackle of either large cracks or small cracks, go for the Paper Artsy Crackle Glaze, or possibly the Bo Bunny's own primer. I haven't tried that because I didn't know I'd need it. That is the fault of the seller on Amazon for not telling me, or my fault for not going to the Bo Bunny website and looking it up and finding out that way. I might try something like my homemade crackle, my homemade clear gesso, and put some on that. See what happens there. And there's other things like my Liquitex airbrush medium. There's various other gels and things I could try. But I think it's a fairly comprehensive test to start with. Okay.